You're like a circle that floats around me, keeping me safe and sound. And when I fall, you tied a rope to me. You're blessing me every day. I was down with an illusion, like a sparrow with broken wings. But now I shine with your reflection on me. I'm getting back up on my feet. That you showed up was written in the palm. You are a statement, explode like a bomb. I get to push myself to victory. You make me winner. You cut me loose and set me free. You make me win in every way. You showed me how to spread my wings.
Hello. Let me go to the chat. How are you all today? Very first ever coffee chat. This is going to be really relaxed. I always have a hair that loves to stick up when I go on lives. Go figure. It is relaxed because you know what? This is going to be just me and you having a coffee. Wouldn't you know it? I left my coffee upstairs. And I just got off a live, so I felt kind of rushed. I should have gotten off of it, another Zoom call earlier, so I would have been more mentally prepared, but that's okay. You got me. That's what you got. So today I did jot down some points that I do want to discuss and just see where it takes us, because I think that's what this is going to mostly be about. These coffee chats is going to be my perspective on things, on life, because my perspective obviously shows what I've learned, what I have been learning, what I study, and hopefully it will help somebody out there if you're either struggling or if you're looking forward to doing something great and getting on with something in your life or whatever. You can take maybe some of my perspective and say, geez, you know, I never looked at it that way. And now that will just advance you that much forward. So anybody that doesn't know me, my name is Julie Townsend. I own Quantum Connections Incorporated. And I also have a fun Facebook group called Quantum Academy. So I'm showing up in Quantum Connections and the Quantum Academy. And I should be on a YouTube video, which I need to look into more this year and getting it more present. So today, being as a brand new year, we're only 4 days into a brand new year, I wanted to just touch on how do you welcome your new year? Are you one of those people who have resolutions this long, and then by March you're like, meh? Or are you someone that doesn't believe in resolutions? Or are you someone that's all geared up and fired up for the new year? Or are you someone that's like really overwhelmed and anxious because maybe you're in the exact same spot you were last year and you set your high hopes and you went out of the gate running and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do this. And something happens, right? It's happened to all of us, and we just kind of peter out, or we just like, oh, it's not worth it, or something happens that we go full circle, and then, you know, we're right back at the same spot. And we're like, what the heck? I had these great intentions to do this and that, but how come I didn't get there? And why am I not there? And maybe I don't think I'll ever get there. Because you just kind of start beating yourself up, right? And your mind starts playing these silly games. So I've talked to quite a few people now, at least, dozen, maybe even 20, since the new year. And I don't know if it has anything to do with COVID. I'm sure it does. But there is a lot of overwhelm out there. A lot. And me being very empathetic, my heart, like, we're just not going to talk about that anymore because it bothers me when people are upset. Oh my God, here we go. I'm good. I'm good. See what happens when I don't go by script and when I talk through my spirit? Whew. Why I get this way is because there's no need for people to hurt in the way they do and be scared and fearful and anxious and all those things, because they just don't know they're choosing that. They have the exact same beautiful spiritual energy coming to them as I do to me. And you have to make a conscious choice right there. Conscious choice. This is all stuff I've learned to find the good. Find the good. When your feet hit the floor in the morning, say, help me find the good today. If you're going through a real crappy time, help me find the good. Start training your mind to look for the good. Because otherwise, you know what? It's going to default and it's just going to go to the negative. It's just in us. It's just path of least resistance. Negative. Worst case scenario. Oh, car wreck, train wreck. And then we're just zoomed right in on the negative and on the worst. You got to stop that, because boy, there's a lot of it out there. So it's not hard to do, right? So I found my Science of Getting Rich. It's a program, but in that it depicts this. Can you see there? It depicts the energy cycle that I always talk about really well. Like the energy comes to us. This is supposed to be a picture of the mind, okay? And our mind has the conscious and the subconscious, and then this little thing is our body. So this is how energy is. When it comes to you, if you're ignorant, now that doesn't mean you're rude or dumb or anything, nothing like that. Ignorance just means not knowing. When you don't know any better, you don't know any better. And until you do know better, you just go along because that's the way you thought it was, okay? But when you do know, like right after our coffee chat, you're going to know you have a choice right up here where the energy comes in, okay? Right when it enters. You can choose to worry or be doubtful, or you can choose to study and understand yourself better. One or the other, okay? You can't go just, man, I'm just going to sit on the fence. I'm not going to do nothing. I'm just going to just ride it out. All those things. That's what gets you to be in the same place you were last year or the year before that. So in knowing, you choose basically positive or negative. If you choose negative and you hang on to it long enough, you're going to build up fear. Now that fear has now entered into the subconscious mind, and what it does is it sets up a vibration. Now, if you followed me long enough, you know I'm talking all about vibration and all about frequency. So if you set up a negative vibration of fear, it has to, because energy flows to and through the body, it has to go into the body and it forms up anxiety. There's your anxiety. That feeling that gets you just like nauseous sometimes, or angry, or these things that get pent up inside of you. That's all negative energy. And it's a decision away. I'm not going to teach on it, but that's just an idea of when you choose that side. If you hang on to these things for too long, anxiety turns into suppression, because we don't go around and tell the world, hey, I'm anxious, man. I'm having an anxiety attack. Woohoo! No, you keep it to yourself. You stay home. You lick your wounds. You're like, I got this, I got this, I got this. No, you don't, because you don't know how. So then it becomes suppressed. And before you know it, you're depressed. And then if you become depressed and you hang on to depression long enough, it puts the body in dis-ease. We say disease, same thing. Your body is not at ease. And I'll tell you, you're in trouble. So, you want to talk more about that? We'll talk more about that another time. That is the majority of people right now. Anxious, overwhelmed, doubtful, worrisome of the future. Can you blame them? But for the sake of your own health, you have to be responsible for yourself and only yourself. And once you do that, that will change the world around you. So just be responsible for yourself. And if you need help, call me. I'm always a text away. Another thing to kind of get you out of overwhelm is if you're being overwhelmed and anxious, it's probably because the things that are coming into your mind and the life you're living, so to speak, doesn't really resonate with you. You're not really in alignment, right? You're not feeling it. You don't feel it, so you kind of get off. That's another indication that you need to make better choices. So, I wrote down, choose to go forward even when you hear that loser clap in your head. So maybe you've set out to do something and you didn't do as good as you thought you were going to, and you wanted and you get all bent on yourself. No, you know what? Just ignore that. It's like, well, I learned something there. I know how not to do something, and be good with that and move on. Okay. A few things that I do. These are just I'm just going to touch on them real quick. And then, because I don't want to take too much of your time, I just want to really quickly read. It's chapter 3 in this book I'm reading. I've heard the story before, but it was really good. And it ties into perspective. But what I do at night before I go to bed is I write down 6 items that I want to and I intend to do today. Now, I might be done those things by 10 a.m. or, man, it might take me all day to do. Doesn't matter. I will do those 6 things. I gratitude and I meditate at least every day. My new goal is twice a day, but at least once a day. No social media, at least 30 minutes. My new goal is 1 hour before bedtime. Read a book, listen to some music, good music, but don't get on social media. Listen to your favorite music at least once a day. We all have favorite songs, and I just encourage you to listen to some favorite music every day. And also, I want you to evaluate your top 5 people. And what I mean by that is just the top 5 people you have in your life. They're influencers in your life. They are making a huge influence, good or bad, in your life. And I want you just to kind of take a pen to paper and just kind of say, who's in my life that really influences me? So hopefully those things will help get your mind off of whatever you're thinking that's negative. This is a great perspective story. It's quick and easy, and I'll share it with you, and then I will wrap it up for our coffee chat. It's called Maintain Your Perspective. One day, according to an old story, a man with a serious illness was wheeled into a hospital room where another patient was resting on a bed next to the window. As the two became friends, the one next to the window would look out of it and then spend the next few hours delighting his bedridden companion with vivid descriptions of the world outside. Some days he would describe the beauty of the trees in the park across from the hospital and how the leaves would dance in the wind. On other days, he would entertain his friend with step-by-step replays of the things people were doing as they walked by the hospital. However, as time went on, the bedridden man grew frustrated as his inability to observe the wonders his friend described. Eventually, he grew to dislike him, and then actually to hate him intensely. One night, during a particular bad coughing fit, the patient next to the window stopped breathing. Rather than pressing the button for help, the other man chose to do nothing. The next morning, the patient who had given his friend so much happiness by recounting the sights outside the window was pronounced dead and wheeled out of the hospital room. The other man quickly asked that his bed be placed by the window, a request that was complied with by the attending nurse. But as he looked out the window, he discovered something that made him shake. The window faced a stark brick wall. His former roommate had conjured up the incredible sights that he described in his imagination as a loving gesture to make the world of his friend a little bit brighter. during his difficult time. He had acted out of selfless love. This story never fails to create a shift in my own perspective when I think about it. To live happier, more fulfilling lives, when we encounter a difficult circumstance, we must keep shifting our perspective and continually asking ourselves, is there a wiser, more enlightened way of looking at this seemingly negative situation? Stephen Hawking, one of the great physicists ever, is reported to have said that we live on a minor planet of a very average star located within the outer limits of one of 100,000 million galaxies. How's that for shift in perspective? Given this information, are your troubles really that big? Are the problems you have experienced or the challenge you might be currently having really as serious as you make them out to be? We walk this planet for such a short time. In the overall scheme of things, our lives are mere blips on the canvas of eternity. So have the wisdom to enjoy the journey and savor the process. Good little story. I'll leave you with that. Thanks for joining me. Coffee chat. Talk to you next time.